I guess we can do a brief round of introductions. Uh, Kiana and Ukuoma, I feel like you joined us for our past space member meeting, so you may know us already, but no harm, no foul with quick introductions. So I guess we can do names, pronouns. I guess where, like, who you're with, where you're calling in from, who your people are, and then I guess for the check-in question for today, what's your sign? for like of anything else that I can think of, what is your sign? So I will, I guess, start. Hi, my name is Agbo Ikor, pronoun she, her, hers. I'm the policy and advocacy director with Spark. So welcome. And my sign is Taurus. And popcorn it to Kay.
Hey everybody, my name is Kay. I am the trans leadership coordinator at Spark, and my sign is a Sagittarius. Wait, Scorpio rising, Virgo moon. I think I always get those two confused. Yeah, and I'll let whoever wants to go next. I don't unless I mean, you know what? I'll popcorn to Carter.
I was already reaching the unmute the mic. I'm Carter, they, them pronouns. I'm the operations coordinator for Spark, and I am a Sagittarius. And I am a Gemini rising and a Gemini moon. So it's a good time over here. And I'll popcorn
Makes sense.
I'll popcorn to Kiana.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kiana, she, they. I am a Sag sun, Cap rising, and Cancer moon. I do study astrology, so I'm like taking notes on y'all signs. Like, this is very cute. I will popcorn over to Erin.
Hi, everyone. I'm Erin, she, her pronouns. I guess Agbo lost connection. But I'm the communications coordinator at Spark. My sign is a Cancer. My birthday is in a few weeks. I don't know my other stuff, but I'm gonna look on my app and I'll put it in the chat. So y'all can figure out who I am. I'll popcorn it to Ukuoma, and please let me know if I said your name incorrectly.
Hey, yes, you said my name. Did you say Ukuoma? I'm so sorry. I'm coming out of another meeting, and so I'm so sorry. But yes, it's Ukuoma. My pronouns are she, her. I am just a member of Spark right now. And could someone say the check-in literally one more time? I'm so sorry to not be present.
What's your sign?
Oh, fun. Okay. I'm a Scorpio sun, a Aries, that's a lie, Aquarius rising and Aries moon. And I will popcorn it to Kiana.
I've already gone, but I think Kiera is new with us.
Who has not gone? Whoever that is, please occupy the space. I'm so sorry.
I can go, y'all. Hi, I'm Alex. I use they, them pronouns, and I'm the Law and Policy Fellow at Spark. I am a Capricorn, Sagittarius cuspy, and a Libra rising and an Aries moon.
Thank you. I believe that was everyone. Did Kiara go? I'm sorry if I missed it. Okay. Kiara, we're doing introductions, names, pronouns, if you're affiliated with an organization, or just, how you, I guess, came into this space, and then your sign.
Did something happen to my sound or?
Oh yeah, I was just about to come off mute. I had to find it. But Kiara, can you hear us? If you can hear us, I don't think we can hear you. So if you could actually put your responses in the chat, and maybe we can you can troubleshoot on your side how to get audio working. All right, but I guess we'll get started with tonight's programming. Let me go ahead and share my screen again. It kicked me out for a second, so I'm going to see if I can share it again. Okay, awesome. I hope all of you can see that. So yeah, like I said, today we're going to talk about, I guess, some like insider knowledge into like the community organizing application process. And I use insider very, very loosely. Tonight, you're really not going to, I guess, learn more than is what's already available out there, but I think you'll also just be able to get an idea, a better idea of like what we're looking for, I guess, in an applicant, and you know what we're looking for when you do submit your, I guess, application package. And I heard the ding of someone just joining us, so welcome to that person. How do I see everyone? There we go. All right, so let's get started. So if my computer will cooperate with me, there we go. So about 20-ish days ago, 22, I think, we posted on Idealist our community organizer position. This has been a position that hasn't been filled for about a year and some change. We were looking last year, but actually ended up pausing that process as Spark went through our own strategic planning process, and we reevaluated what we needed in that role, whether that role should be called the same thing, and you know and understanding like who we would need to occupy that role in order for Spark as an organization to be successful. So finally, we were able to open up our, open for applications, and you can submit those through Idealist. But I'm gonna review some of like the application requirements. And I say some as in like all, because it's very, very minimal. If my computer will cooperate again. Okay, so application requirements. So the application is on Idealist. Some of you may be familiar with Idealist. It's generally this website for nonprofit jobs. So it's Indeed, but for nonprofits. So you can find us there. If you put in the search bar, Spark Reproductive Justice Now, the position should be the first position that comes up on the screen. So applying through there, there you can submit your resume and your cover letter. Those are the only two things we're actually requiring for the application. This is an entry-level position, so we're not really requiring references, even though honestly ask for references are like the bane of my existence, but that's on the side. We're not really asking for, you just like fill out like this whole form or application. We really just want to take a look at your resume and cover letter because we feel like that's going to give us a great idea who you are as an organizer and what you feel like you can contribute to Spark. So I'm actually going to go to the job listing itself. And actually, that's what I meant to do. Apologies. I am going to share this Actually, no, we're just gonna go like this. All right. Can y'all see that I'm on the Idealist website now, or is it still showing the other page? And you can do thumbs up or
It's still showing the applicant requirements page.
let me know in the chat. Oh, I'm sorry.
It is.
Can you repeat that?
Now it switched to Idealist. Yep. Sorry. I think it was lagging a bit.
Okay. Oh, no worries, no worries. So this is the job posting on Idealist. Maybe some of you have already taken a look at it. Maybe some of you have actually already submitted applications. But I really wanted to take this opportunity to not go through, like, I guess, every point in the, I guess, you know, requirements and core competencies and things like that, but sort of highlight some key things that we're looking for. So let me take another look at the base review slide. Okay. That's what I wanted to do. Sorry. So before we do that, I guess I can review the process a bit of the application process. So you have an idea, I guess, of what to expect once we receive your application. Then I will get into, that's what I meant to do. I'll get into some criteria and things to know. So the process involves, of course, submitting your application materials, like I said, resume and cover letter. And I'll talk a bit about, you know, what will be optimal to include in those two things. You'll go through a first round of interviews that will be either with Spark's Operations Coordinator, Carter, our lead organizer, Kay, or myself, our Policy and Advocacy Director. So since we receive, I feel like so far we've received like maybe around 50 applicants. What we typically do is review those applications and narrow it down to maybe 10 to 15 individuals we want to move on to the interview process with either, you know, one of these people. And I do want to emphasize that we will provide questions before the interview as just like an accessibility thing, as a just, I guess, reality thing. I feel like it's very, very rare when you're in a space where you're surprised with like what kind of, you know, questions or whatever is going to be coming your way. So we definitely want to provide those questions before the interview. And I'll mention this later, but we also do want to leave space to, you know, ask clarifying questions about, like, you know, whether something you said in your response or something like that. And I should have put this on the in the slideshow. I forgot, though I meant to. So the spirit of providing questions for the interview, like I said, is accessibility. We do want to set up like those one-on-one interviews with you, but if it's easier for you to submit like written responses to those questions, you can submit those in addition to us like having the interview with you. So you can have like, you know, your interview questions sort of like, I guess, answered on the paper. You can also send that to us if we ask you for an interview, but we'll still go through like a one-on-one interview process. From that, we'll have a second round of interviews. And I put that was tentative primarily because it really depends on who we identify or how many people we identify as great applicants we do want to move forward. So if it's 3 or less, I think, we'll actually skip straight to, you know, the quote unquote interview with staff. More than that, you'll have a second interview with myself and our lead organizer, Kay. And I say our lead organizer, they will actually be your direct supervisor. And then from there, you will have an interview with the staff if, you know, we ask you to move forward. So that quote unquote interview with the staff, it's definitely a low pressure opportunity to meet just current staff members, you know, get the vibes right, you know, just, you know, meet everyone. It really is an opportunity for you as an applicant to, like I said, see if the vibes are right and meet the staff, sort of, I guess, evaluate us as a working space, working community. I don't know how else to put that. And then from there, we make our final decision. This position has a start date of, I believe, August. Ooh, don't catch me out here lying. Once I return to the idealist stage, I'll uplift that. But I'm actually going to skip to criteria. Oh, and please put any questions in the chat or feel free to interrupt me as I move forward. And oh, thanks, Carter. Apologies if it's hard to hear me. Let me see if I can remedy that. Okay, hopefully that's going to be a bit helpful. I do have some fans. I'm currently in the Pacific Northwest where we are under a lot of heat, so I do have like fans and things going on around me. So apologies if it is hard to hear. But yes, okay, so this is the portion where I did want to review our core competencies, duties, and responsibilities within the community organizer position. So now I'm going to switch over to idealist. Actually, roll. So like I said, initially we did want to hire for this position last year, but we did decide to wait for us to go through the strategic planning process, which would help guide us in, I guess, our search for a community organizer, as we had a better idea of what we want in an organizer as we move forward with our 5-year strategic plan. So I did want to highlight some just like core competencies that stand out that you would be well suited to very much like highlight that in your application, your resume, or your cover letter. So definitely strong grassroots community organizing skills or demonstrated success in organizing, strategizing, and following through on organizing projects. So that doesn't necessarily have to be like paid experience. This can be something you did within your community. This can be something you may have done like, through school, on your college campus, something like that. But we do want to get a feel of like what community organizing skills you do have. Ability to handle a variety of projects and assignments at once with attention to detail. So even though I guess because we're a small organization, oftentimes we as individuals do have to juggle a lot of just like projects and programs that we have coming up. We sit on various coalition spaces. We lead in various coalition spaces, so that often a lot of planning around projects and programs and things like that. So that's kind of key, ability to, I guess, sort of like juggle those various things. And like I said, I'm really just highlighting like the main ones here. Of course, these things apply to you as far as core competencies. Please, please, please emphasize that in your cover letter and your, resume as well. But I'm just, I did want to highlight these. Skilled in digital organizing and online mobilization. So, we've clearly seen that, with the panoramic and us going mobile, or us going remote rather, excuse me, we had to shift to a more, I guess, digital organizing format and, do more online mobilization when we were more accustomed to, I guess, on the ground grassroots organizing. Of course, we, for various events or organizing, but we did have to shift to like primarily or only using social media and various like, I guess, digital organizing tools, I guess like Zoom, in order to, do our work, in order to connect with our base members. So we are looking for folks who are skilled in digital organizing and online mobilization, or, have an idea, are skilled in like, I guess, social media and have an idea of like, what it takes, I guess, to organize online versus organizing on in-person grassroots. And, just because, we're not going to be remote forever, pandemic willing, we do want to continue to utilize our digital organizing tools and strategies, even as we start to meet, in person and things like that. I think even before we went remote, we were strategizing how to build a bigger, I guess, online organizing presence. So I guess the pandemic was sort of like trial by fire with that. Knowledgeable about reproductive justice and working with a queer framework. If you know Spark, you know what we're about. Definitely want to highlight, experience with RJ or even reproductive rights and health, and then working with a queer framework. So those are some of like the key core competencies I did want to highlight. Again, please stop me if you have any like questions. I am trying to keep an eye on the chat if my computer will let me. Some duties and responsibilities. So just, I guess, a very, very brief summary of, what this position really entails. Of course, it involves base building and outreach. I think that's a key part of community organizing, is building Spark base and doing that outreach work in order to build that base. We recognize that base building isn't just like a one-on-one and then you're done with the person, they're part of Spark. You're good. It's definitely, there's definitely a lot of relationship building involved. Just want you to be aware of, you're going to have, I guess, build relationships with individuals, have multiple meetings with people, identify leaders, within, our base to sort of help push them or get them more engaged within Spark's programming or leadership development initiatives. Moving forward, campaign organizing. So Spark, I guess, it's relatively new that we're getting into more and more campaign, like specific work. We're currently leading 3 campaigns for various things. And I'll, I guess, speak to that a bit later. But, around crisis pregnancy centers, legally changing name and gender markers, and then access to reproductive health care for trans folks and folks who don't exist within the binary, the gender binary. So campaign organizing is going to be a key part of your role as well. Me as the policy and advocacy director, you'll be working closely with me as we, strategize around campaigns and how to move things forward. So yeah. And then I really do like, and I'm going to actually like big up to Carter for including, I guess, a sample week in the life of a Spark community organizer, because it is pretty accurate as to like what to expect within the role. Meetings with your direct supervisor, keeping in contact with the team via Slack and email, developing and conducting trainings. So we are asked to do a lot of trainings or host a lot of trainings and a lot of workshops. Or in various conference spaces, we've hosted trainings and key to just who Spark is, but also, KR added that. Well, thanks for big up to KR. What was I saying? Oh yes, we do do presentations for various like conferences or even like college classes or things like that. So we think it's integral within just like Spark's, mission, but also individual leadership development that, folks do have, or that folks do get that experience, even if it's just through us, of leading, conducting training, participating in our internal meetings, participating in partner meetings, and then read and reflect on classic organizing literature. So this is definitely a role where we do expect you to, grow in that role. Whether it means, doing political education, in order to like, I guess, lead or facilitate, political education spaces for our base. So these base member meetings, it's not just a space where, we tell you about upcoming programs or, we tell you about the community organizing position, which, of course, right now that's what the space needed. But we also do want to have the space be one that fosters political education for our members, be a space where folks can just like work together when it comes to moving along campaign, and just be in community with one another. So we do think it is important that you do read and reflect on just different organizing literature that will support in, you know, just how you show up as an organizer. And then just some qualifications. They speak a bit for themselves, but I'm gonna like, I guess, slowly scroll through so folks can look at it, and if they're, you know, so that flexibility to work nights and weekends as needed. So that is honestly, I don't want to say rare, because I feel like as we started to pick up, we have had, well, at least I guess me personally have had like more instances where we do have to do like evening events, particularly as we partner with other organizations for just like different town halls or forums or things like that. But you know, this is not a huge like part of your role. Very, very rarely will you work weekends, maybe 2 weekends in the entire year that you're sort of expected, you know, to work, or where it is needed that you work on the weekend. And then evenings are basically for base member meetings, different listening sessions that we may be hosting, or partner events that we may be a part of. So yeah, I guess it is fair to say that they are sort of like, you know, rare, but I did want to uplift that as something that is happening. Ability to travel as needed. So I definitely want to note that that doesn't necessarily say have access to your own vehicle or something like that. But we do want you to have, particularly within like Atlanta or, you know, Metro Atlanta, you know, for this role. When we're not, you know, remote, we do want to have like some on the ground organizing. So if that means, you know, being able to, you know, or access to, I guess, a MARTA pass, or, you know, I guess access to Lyft as an app or Uber as an app, it's definitely something that, you know, we need within that role. When it comes to, I guess, traveling beyond, I guess, Metro Atlanta, that would typically involve like flights for whatever events. So I guess that's not so much of a big concern. I think it's more of like an ability to, you know, fly somewhere else if needed. And yeah, and then emphasizing that this will begin as a remote position. But as we come back together physically, we will, sorry, I paused because I'm still not sure exactly what that's going to look like for us. But we do intend to return to the office in some way, you know, eventually. So yeah, just like a brief summary of who you are. Just reading that on the screen briefly. So I do want to get into the other stuff. Salary, benefits. Awesome. So please, if you have any questions, do put them in the chat, or like, you know, come off mute. But I'm going to go back to the slideshow now. Okay. So yes, I did want to, like I said, for our criteria, I just did a brief overview of like the core competencies, duties, and responsibilities. I think it is important that you review Spark's values to see if they align with your values. And this is where I messed up. I think I put like just the slides in the wrong order. So I am going to, if my computer cooperates with me, go back to this slide. Okay. So these are our values. This was also born out of our strategic planning process that we had at the top of this year. And we were very intentionally created just based on who we are as an organization, who we are as a staff, what we feel like our community needs, and how we feel like Spark is going to move just within these next. So our values include, Spark's work and culture is rooted in principles of love, joy, and connection. We value radical rest and wellness as practices of liberation. We honor fluidity, adaptability, and growth as practices that allow us all to stand in our authenticity, intentionality, and truth. We strive to center folks who exist further in the margins and prioritize their needs and ideas. We engage in principled struggle as a means to build deeper relationships and communities and to lean into trust, honesty, grace, and accountability. We value freedom, equity, and accessible autonomy that is completely unobstructed in all facets. So definitely wanted to highlight our values. If these don't really align with who you are or what your values are, no hard feelings or anything like that. You can still apply, but you just need to be aware that those are our values and that's how, we want to move within our values. Go back to this. Other criteria, as I mentioned before, cover letter and resume. So just a clear cover letter and resume that shows familiarity with Spark and or your community organizing experience. I think overall that's really a big thing, the biggest thing that we're looking for. I think some of the duties or core competencies that I highlighted really just spoke to whether you are familiar with community organizing or do have that experience. Or if you're familiar with Spark. I always love just to hear from base members who are applying, for a specific position, who may have rocked with Spark for a while, may have just been introduced to Spark through a training or a conference or something like that, or who just found us online and visited our website and decided that we were the coolest organization ever. So yeah, just speaking to that a bit, I always like to see that within just cover letters. And then demonstrated interest in the position. I state that to say that a lot of just cover letters or resumes that we receive are very just generic in how they're worded, or and how they're very, very just generic in how they're worded. It's clear that they're submitting the same cover letter to different positions, which honestly is fine. It makes sense. But I do want you to highlight your interest in this specific, role as you apply. We definitely want applicants who are excited for the position, who are excited, to help Spark continue our work. So yeah, demonstrated interest in the position. So getting into just some key tips. So these are just some tips that I think will help within the application process. Review our website for past programs, key issue areas, and published statements. You may just see something on our website that speaks to just some issue that you hold dearly, or you have some personal experience with, and you can include that in your cover letter, highlight it in your resume, or even if you're asked for an interview, highlight that within your interview. Please do not contact us about the status of your application. Applications are due up till July 7th. We do want to look at them as they come in, but with capacity, that's not always realistic. So we do intend to respond to everyone who has applied with a yay or nay towards an interview. But before then, please do not contact us about the status of your application. It's just a lot of messages, and a lot of the time, since it is coming through Idealist, I may personally not know right away, where your application. Um, but I feel like I dealer sent confirmation. I'm not sure. But yes, I do just wanted to reiterate that. Do contact us if you have any clarifying questions about the application process or Spark as an organization. So, definitely want this process to be as easy as possible for you. So if you do have any questions around like, a core competency or maybe some of Spark's values, like what did we mean when we said like, principal struggle or something like that, please feel free to contact our info address, and hopefully we can clarify some things for you. So if asked to interview, review and practice the interview questions provided beforehand, but also expect additional clarifying questions during the interview, as I mentioned before. So, we do want to provide these interview questions beforehand. And it's not really with the big expectation that you're going to read them and come like completely ready and poised to answer all of these questions. But this is just a tip, before you come into the interview, just that since you do have the questions available to you, it may behoove you to review them, maybe, do practice answers or something like that. And then leave, a little space for just like additional clarifying questions, during the interview process. There are a lot of times during the interview that, let me not say a lot, but there are some times during the interview that I guess, sort of like off book if something just sort of like jumps out at me within your answer. And, it really, it's really helpful just to be, I guess, just to expect. So that was pretty much it, I guess, as far as like, tips, the application process for the community organizer role. I'm going to actually skip ahead and scroll to just like connect with us because it does show if my computer will let me, it does show our website, our phone number, and then our email if you do have questions about content, to contact us. It also shows our social media. I think email is best when it comes to asking questions, but if you do want to reach out through, I guess, our DMs in these social media spaces, I believe that's okay as well. Yeah, I'm going to back up with ways to get involved now or pause for questions. I feel like I heard someone come off mute, so go ahead.
Hey, it was me. I just wanted to name that if you have already submitted your materials, and you may have already said this, if you've already submitted your materials and something that was reviewed tonight has changed, what you want to submit or you want to update something, you can reach out to me directly. I'll put my email in the chat, or if it'll allow you through Idealist, you can go through and edit it. But if it doesn't, please feel free to reach out to me and we'll get it figured out.
Carly, you absolutely, thank you for saying that, because I did say that, so thank you. Yes, if anything, that I said tonight does like change, what you want to include in your application, yes, as Carter said, reach out to them about just like another resume or something like that. Speaking about just like ways to get involved now, I feel like, I definitely want to always sort of end the meeting or end this portion of the meeting with this information. Because, maybe you just heard about Spark, you're just now coming to our, but I definitely want to uplift that there are various ways that you can get involved in like campaign work now. Once again. Come on. Well, as we wait for it to get, like, for my computer to get it together, the first slide speaks to there it goes, the Power in a Name project. It's a campaign to affirm and uplift trans and non-binary folks in the state of Georgia. So this is basically a campaign to make the name change process and the gender marker change process easier in the state of Georgia. We recognize that to have an ID who you are is important and necessary to safety when it comes to, you know, trans folks and folks who don't exist within the binary. So if you want to get involved in that work, I've provided Kay's email here, kelly@sparkrj.org, just for more information, or if you do want to get involved. Moving to our state clinic campaign. So I put a bit of, but Alex, are you able and willing to just speak a bit more around this particular campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. So this campaign is basically a coalitional campaign with a bunch of other RJ groups in Georgia that are trying to address state funding for crisis pregnancy centers. And if you're not sure what a crisis pregnancy center is, it's basically a fake healthcare facility that tries to coerce pregnant people into giving birth instead of having an abortion. And so the state of Georgia currently funds these centers with about $2 million per year, which is insane. So we're trying to do community education, civic engagement, and then just like eventually get legislative changes to take the funding away from crisis pregnancy centers and reinvest it in legitimate healthcare. And if you're interested in that, you can reach out to Agbo at the email on the screen.
Thank you, Alex. Moving forward to, wait, actually, let me pause. So this is a campaign that we are working with other organizations with, but Spark is actually leading this work. So we'd definitely love for you to get involved if you're interested. And then our Light Fellowship. This is, I guess, a new program or new fellowship that we're starting, that we started this year. We are accepting applications for this currently, but this fellowship was born out of our work with community partners to bridge the divide between repro health and justice organizations and organizations that are led by queer folks, trans folks, and folks who exist outside of the binary. So we are currently accepting applications for this fellowship. This is a paid fellowship for I think it's a 4-month period. And I guess to describe the fellowship, definitely please note that. But yeah, this fellowship is primarily, this fellowship is for trans folks specifically, or folks who don't exist within the binary. So refer to our socials for the actual application. I'm sharing this slideshow in our base member meeting shared folder. And actually, let me do this before I forget. I'm going to put in the chat that folder. This is our base member resource folder where we really just put pretty much just all of like whether it's like the presentation, recordings of like the actual meetings, we put that in this particular folder. So I'm going to put that in the chat so you have a link to that, and you should be able to access it. Again, if my computer wants to lock with me. Come on. Thank you for your patience with that. I'm going to put this in the chat now. There you go. Like I said, I believe that should be, or not. I don't think that's right, actually. All right, I'm going to wait to put that in the chat once we're in our meditation space. So apologies for that. My computer is deciding to choose violence once again. But I'll move forward in the presentation. Well, as my computer decides to upload that, we do have a call for proposals out for our annual fire camp. So our annual fire camp is typically, of course, an in-person event where we welcome young, queer, and trans folks of color from throughout the Southeast to come to Georgia. We pay for their lodging, we pay for their travel to get here, we pay for their food while they're here, to come to Georgia, advocacy, reproductive justice, all that fun stuff. But with us being remote, we decided to shift what fire looked like this year to more of a mini conference feel. So, you know, you may have joined us for our Justice Now 2020 conference last year. Think of this sort of as like, not a continuation, but done in that spirit where we want to hold this space for individuals to be in space with one another, and also provide an opportunity for folks to really just like show how they do, I guess, advocacy work. Proposals, I think some folks actually on this call have submitted a proposal, so thank you very much for that. Thank you, Erin. So yes, I do encourage you, if you do have like some sort of like artistic skill, or if there's like a particular space you're willing to host within this conference, please submit a proposal. Like I said, we would love to have you. I think we're accepting proposals up until next week, but again, don't have me out here lying. So that's it, I guess, for this portion. We're going to shift, I guess, into our meditation space at 4. So I guess we can all take, I guess, a brief break. Actually, no, we'll shift into so we can all, no, sorry, I'm on the West Coast, so I'm definitely getting my times wrong. 7:15 on Eastern time. We'll start the meditation space. I'm seeing some things in the chat coming through. Okay, thank you for putting those links in the chat. And yes, thank you for that reminder, Carter. So yes, we're going to pause until 7:15 p.m. Eastern time. And please, we encourage you to rejoin us for this meditation piece.